¿Qué es la que hay, mi gente? Welcome to eCruz Learning, where it's just that easy, with your favorite host, Professor Cruz. And today we're going to talk about standard form of the equation of the line and what things we can do with it. We could write this in standard form. We can easily find x and y intercepts. So here we go. The standard form is ax plus by equals c. Notice that a and b are in capital letters, and those are going to be integers. So a and b are integers, meaning that they have to be whole numbers, positive or negatives, and they cannot be fractions. So here we go. Example one, let's rewrite the equation of a line. I'm writing EOL as a short in standard form. So 1/3 x plus 2/5 y equals 10 is not in standard form because it has fractions. The x and the y are in the correct place, but it has fractions. So how can we cancel the fractions? Well, the way that we cancel fractions is that we multiply by the denominators. That's all we need to do. We're going to multiply these by the denominators. So we cancel one fraction at a time. So the first fraction that I'm going to cancel is the first one that I see, which is a 3. So to cancel 3, I'm going to have to multiply every single term by that denominator, which is 3. Remember, the denominator is the number at the bottom of the fraction. So I'm going to put a parenthesis here times 3, another parenthesis here times 3, and another parenthesis here times 3. I'm going to multiply every single term. Every time that I see a plus or minus, I'm going to multiply everything times 3. So here we go. The first one, you actually don't multiply, right? Like you multiply, but the reason why we're multiplying times 3 is to cancel this 3 with this 3. It will cancel. And you just left with 1x. So I could bring down the 1, but you know, this is an invisible 1 because it's just x. We don't write it. I'll put it there for explanation purposes. So 1x, there's a plus sign, so plus. And the way that we multiply this is that we put it over 1 because we're going to multiply a whole number times a fraction. And the way that you do that is that you make the whole number a fraction by writing it over 1. And then you multiply, if I say TBT, you say BBB. That means top by top. So 3 times 2 is 6 over bottom by bottom, right? So 1 times 5 is 5. Okay. And you put a y over there. So 1x plus 6 over 5y equals 10 times 3 is 30. And we're almost done with the fractions, but we got rid of the first one. We got rid of the first one. Now we have the second fraction that we need to get rid of. Well, again, to cancel fractions, we're going to multiply by the denominator. So this fraction has a denominator of 5. So I'm going to multiply every single term times 5. Every single term times 5. Look at the 5. I put it on the top. Okay. And every single term times 5. 5 times 1 is just 5. So this is going to be 5x plus, there's a plus sign, and then 6 over 5. Again, I'm going to multiply times 5, but I'm not going to put this 5 over 1 because I'm multiplying by the denominator to cancel it. Okay, so this literally cancels. That's gone. And we have 6y equals 30 times 5. Well, the way I do this is that I multiply 3 times 5. That's 15. And then you add the 0 back at the end. So you forget about the 0 for a second. You multiply 3 times 5. And then you add the 0 at the end. That's 150. So it looks like this is in the format of ax plus by, okay, equals c. And there's no fractions. It's x and y in that order. So that is my final answer. And it's just that easy. That is how you rewrite any formula that you're given in standard form. Okay, so you get rid of the fractions. Let's look at example 2. Example 2, it gives you, it's asking you to graph this. It's asking you to graph something in standard form, 4x minus 2y equals 12. Well, the first step is to find the x and the y intercepts, because the one thing about the standard form is that it allows you to see the x and the y intercepts very easily. And the way that you do that is that to find the x-intercept, the other value is always 0. What that means is y will equal 0. So if I want to find the x-intercept, I have to substitute y equals 0 into this equation. And that's exactly what we're going to do. I'm going to grab this equation right here. I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste it right here. Okay. But instead of y, I'm going to erase y and I'm going to open parentheses for y. And I'm going to substitute that y with 0. Okay. When I do that, whatever number was with y will completely cancel. So this -2 will cancel with the 0. The negative's gone as well, remember, because the sign of a number is always in front of it. And you're left with 4x equals 12. So with 4x equals 12, it is very easy to solve for x. You're going to have 4x. X is not by itself, it's being multiplied by 4. So we're going to divide by 4 on both sides. And you get that x equals 3. 12 divided by 4 is 3. So I just found the x value. So that gives me a point, right? That gives me the point. It tells me that the x-intercept, which is what I was looking for, okay, is gonna open. I'm gonna open two parentheses for the point. I know for sure that the y value is 0 because that's what we established at the beginning. So the y value of this is 0 automatically, and the x value is the value that I just found. It's 3. So this number right here is going to be 3. And this is the point that I'm going to graph when I do my graph. It's going to be 3, 0. So to find the y-intercept, again, I could do this since the beginning. To find the y-intercept, I know that there's going to be two parentheses with a comma. And this time, I know that x is going to be 0. So I already know that the other variable, x, is 0. I'm just finding the y value for the y-intercept, right? The y value is the one that's going to be different because I'm looking for that intercept. So I go back to my original equation and I'm going to substitute, right? I'm going to substitute 0 for x. So again, I'm going to copy paste over here. And I have my equation right here. This is like very far away. Let's make it a little bit closer. There you go. And this time we're going to let x equal 0. So 4, open parentheses, minus 2y equals 12. But this time we substitute 0 for x. So this time 4 times 0 cancels. And notice that I still have the -2y. So the negative does not cancel over here because the negative is with the 2, right? Remember, the sign is always in front of its number. So the last step here will be to divide both sides by -2, so we can get y by itself. And if you divide both sides by -2, you're going to get 12 divided by -2 is -6. So this is going to be -6, and that's going to be my y-intercept. My y-intercept is -6. So now I can go to my graph and plot this point very easily. Because this is the x-intercept, I'm going to go to the x-axis. I'm going to draw a tick mark at +3. Okay, I'm going to draw a tick mark at +3. And I know that there's going to be a point right there. I'm also going to go to the y-axis because this is a y-intercept. So I'm going to go to the y-axis. I'm going to go to 6, -6. So I'm going to go to -6, and I'm going to draw another point right here. And now I do what I learned how to do in kindergarten, connect the dots and make a straight line. So that is the equation of a line graph from the intercepts in the standard form. Very simple. The key here is to remember that the other value, the other variable, not the other value. Well, yeah, the other value is always 0, meaning that if I'm looking for the x-intercept, y is 0. If I'm looking for the y-intercept, x is 0. So that's how you do it. Now let's convert from standard form to slope-intercept form. So if you ever have anything like this and you have to make it look like y equals mx plus b, we have actually done this before. So there's going to be a quick review. And if you need to do this again, make sure that you check my video on slope-intercept form. All you have to do is grab this and move it to the other side because we want it to look like y equals mx plus b. And you just have to remember that if you cross the line, you need to switch the sign. So this is going to be -4x, -4x. You bring down the -2y. We did not switch that from one side of the equal sign to the other. And we bring down the +12. because we did not move that from one side of the equal sign to the other, and the equal sign stays right there. The only thing that we moved from the left to the right was the negative 4x, so that changed sign. If this was the original problem, then you just move it back to put it in standard form. But from this point, we need y by itself, and y is not by itself. So all I have to do is divide every single term by -2. What I do with one term, I have to do it with all the terms, right? So the -2's here cancel, and you get that y equals -4 divided by -2. So negative divided by negative is a positive, and 4 divided by 2 is just 2x, and then 12 minus 2. Oh, sorry, 12 divided by -2 is -6. And that is your graph for this. So are there, if there's any questions, please leave a comment below or let me know at any point, okay, how can this help? If you look at this, this is the same problem that we did in example 2. How would you graph this? Well, you will have to go to -6 and have a y-intercept by -6. And here's the y-intercept by -6, right? This is crossing at -6. And then the slope says to be +2. So it's really 2/1, which means you have to go up 2 and over 1. So if you keep going here up 2/1, up 2/1, up 2/1, you're going to end up at that point anyways, and the line is going to be exactly the same. So these are two different ways of graphing the same line in standard form. The first way is by looking for x and y intercepts, and the second way is for solving it for y equals mx plus b. The last skill that we need to know about ax plus by equals c, it's example 4, which is if I give you -3x equals 15, are you able to identify a, b, and c? Well, a is always the number or the coefficient with x, the coefficient of x, which is the number in front of it. So this is -3, so -3x. So a is -3. Now, if I ask you to identify b, there's an issue because there's no y value. Because there's no y value, that means that the y value is gone, and the only way that the y value could be gone is if b equals 0. So in this case, b equals 0, okay? And then c equals 15. Well, b equals 0, it's considered a vertical line. Okay, this is going to be a vertical line. And the reason why it's going to be a vertical line, you're going to see it in a second. That's why we don't write it like this for standard form. Let's find the x-intercept, right? When b equals 0, we can find the x-intercept. Well, if this is the original equation, and y is already 0, right? It's gone. All I have to do is divide by -3 on both sides. And if I do that, right? If I do that, this cancels and you get the x equals -5. So if x equals -5, that means I'm going to go to the x-axis. I'm going to label -5. And if I'm going to graph this, okay, because the third step is to graph it, then all I have to do is extend that tick mark. And you've done this before when we graphed vertical lines and horizontal lines. So you go up and extending that tick mark, which is the mark that you made a 5 or a -5, and you extend it the other way, and that will be the graph of -3x equals 15. When you solve it, you get x equals -5, and that will be the graph. You go to the x-axis, -5, extend the tick mark, form a vertical line. The same way, if a equals 0, then you will have a horizontal line. You will have a horizontal line because you will only have y. So I hope that this helps with standard form. If you need additional help, please comment, subscribe to our channel. And if you need additional individualized help or personalized help for tutoring, please visit our website, virtualmathmasters.com/free session, so that you could get your free session today and join our Math Masters. This was Master Cruz with eCruz Learning, where it's just that easy.